No, like give me a name. Give me like.
Yeah, like when they come up to the window and it's your turn to
Suarez.
come over to the window.
Suarez.
Suarez. Like
Suarez.
put a name in front of
Suarez.
Suarez.
The whole name, Suarez.
Eh,
I'll say my name.
Jose Sebastián Suarez.
Jose Sebastian Suarez.
That's how you do it?
Yeah, that's how I
That's
do it.
exactly how he does it.
Because at the very least, like it's like they hear their name. Because I hate it when I'm like Jose Sebastian Suarez.
Yeah.
Jose Sebastian Suarez, and then they
Because
don't hear
everybody
it.
comes when they apply for a visa, they're nervous, right?
Alright, welcome back na Wapu Podcast, bo business educational podcast na papiamento.
Ang tuntig in inglês, é?
Ang tigin inglês ao tigin na espanhol também. Nós vai dar uma reason back. Pero nós em public também presente, nós em 2-3 centes atrás nós também presente.
Is een special guest também.
Exacto. Onde nós está hoje?
Nós estamos na casa de consul de embajada americano aqui na
Exacto.
Consulado.
Consulado.
Aha.
And we got two special guests right now. So, is Anthony ku Sadie. Sadi, bueno, que nombre largo, es Sadi.
Sí.
Anto ku, llama guest of honor?
Diva.
Sakit diva.
Diva também está trabalhando em cantor conosco. Sim, Diva também todo dia, eu que net vesti todo dia.
Prome conosci, Cora check was een product aan die bij manscape.com. Você code de Wapu, você tem 20% de desconto, então não se explica você não viver cá para que products não tá, então for that special area. Então it's here
Es mais, wara, me tem coisa bisa você também. Se você anda bisa, passo mais marca me também. Anto tende for the and then kuta dia nós riba nos Instagram. Uno me pode comprar aqui riba website, claramente. Me não tem credit card, kiko te uploading eri.
Mustache?
No. Porta mustache mesmo, pero contact nós eri, anto nós tá, se por favor. Nós usamos credit card eri, bota paga nós assim, pero botina na mão sim. Dessa credit card smusha não tá, não tu smusha mais.
Não se dá, não worry.
Exacto. Alright. So, welcome.
Thank
First
you.
of all, danke para ti nós aqui ng AWE. Paso, é um honor também, não? Tu renda bisa, mabing grava na consulado, we.
Me dá lumbeta na consulado.
Aha, exacto.
So, Anthony, can you just introduce yourself and tell us what you do? What's your job title? What's your background?
So my name is Anthony Brazen. I'm the consular chief here at the consulate in Curacao. I worked in China and Germany beforehand, and I'm here with my wife and 2 kids. That's my basic background. What I do here is, so a consular officer, first and foremost, we deal with Americans, right? So if an American gets arrested, gets in trouble, dies, anything, I'm usually the first person they'll talk to, right? So my first issue is to help Americans who are abroad on the 6 islands. And then I do passports and things like that. And then I also do visas. So if someone who doesn't have ESTA wants to go to the U.S. to travel, twice a week we do visa interviews for them. And we, see if...
And how did you even land that job?
It's, you know what? It's weird.
What do you study for that kind of job?
Yeah, exactly.
I went to school for film.
For film?
Yeah, for film and TV. I went to NYU, and then I couldn't get a job for ever. I was kind of I was getting a lot of PA jobs, but nothing steady. And then my wife, when we were dating, she was like, let's just go to China. Let's just go to, have a year abroad.
Let's just go.
But it was in 2004, and she got a job teaching at a university in China. And she was like, let's just, let's go. And then that was right when we got engaged. So it was the thing that we did before then. And we met some people in Beijing who were at the embassy, and I learned about their life. And I was like, they taught you Chinese, and you get this nice...
You know Chinese?
Yeah, I know a little. I mean, I forgot. I lived there. I was there from 2004 to 5, and then 2014 to 16. So I can still kind of get by and sometimes impress people, but more and more and more they're less and less impressed. Like, because when you stop speaking it for a while, like you forget it. But the last time I was there,
Was it difficult to learn?
no, I think it's actually pretty easy.
Okay. Is
I
it
think
easier
people
than
make
Spanish?
it seem, yeah, I think it is.
Okay.
Because it's a little bit like Papi mentioned. Like there's no, you don't have to conjugate.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
And then there's,
Yeah, yeah.
in fact, it's not even, there's zero conjugation. And there's no future tense, there's no past tense. So if you want to say like, I went to the store yesterday, you say, yesterday I go store. So it's like simple, easy.
yeah.
So it's just getting over the tones. Like you need to figure out the tones. But I like Chinese. So then I met this guy.
Mm-hmm.
He seemed cool. I forgot about it. My wife got another job. I had a job, and then we moved, and then my wife had a job, and I was
In China itself.
No, in St. Louis in the U.S.
Oh, okay.
When we came back, and I was a stay-at-home dad, and then my wife's contract was ending, and then like there was this race to get a job, and I was like, oh yeah, remember that guy? He had that.
Let me call him.
That cool life. No, it was because you just take a test, but it was the first time I was thinking like, oh yeah, I could be a Foreign Service officer. And then I took a test, and I passed, and then there's another test, and I passed that, and then another test, and I passed that. And then it just happened.
I do the test.
Is it a long procedure or?
Yeah, it's super
Yeah?
long. It was like 2 years.
What are other requirements that you have to meet in order to become?
It's in terms of those
Come
requirements,
work here.
it's like, I think to be a Foreign Service officer, you don't even have to have gone to college, right?
Okay.
But so the first
But you have to
test-
be American.
Yeah, you have to be American.
Okay.
So the first test is just like basic, knowledge. Like I think if you read the news every day, and like you kind of know grammar pretty well, and can write an essay that makes sense, like you should be all right. Like but it's really testing. Like you have a sense of like the Constitution, the U.S. history, that kind of stuff. What's going on in the world, and so then the next thing is you have to like answer all these questions about how you're a great person. And I have no idea how
That's
I passed
easy
that.
to do.
I have no idea how I passed that part. But like but one of the things was like, describe a situation where you helped two people resolve a difficult situation or something like that. And I was like, I don't, I really haven't done that. Like I haven't done any peace treaties in my life, you know. So I just described this time when my friends were wondering whether they should do in vitro to have a baby or not, or adopt. And like I just described this thing that happened. And like, but I put it in like, here was the
On
problem.
paper, yeah.
This was how I did it. And then, this was the resolution. And I think that kind of stuff worked. And then the next thing, you have to go to DC and you have this like round table interview where you're kind of like competing against these other people. And it's like an all-day event.
Okay.
And then I passed that, but my score was just barely above passing, right? So I knew that everybody who had a score higher would get picked, and then I would never like go to the top because the more people would come, they would get picked.
What
and
did you
I'd
do
sit at
to
the
solve
bottom.
that?
So I like had to really learn Chinese.
Oh, okay.
So I was like, okay, I'm gonna really learn Chinese. So like for like a year, I was just like spending time because I was taking care of my 2 kids, but then just like learning Chinese all the time. And then I got the points, and then I was on the top of the
Got the
list.
job.
But then there's a budget. They stopped there's no budget, so they weren't hiring anyone. So I was like, oh my god, I just learned and you could only be on the list for like 16 months, right?
Wow.
And then you get kicked off, and I was at 12 months. So then I was like
At
at
only
the top
4
of the list
months,
at 12 months, and then there's like, okay, we're not hiring anyone because of the budget freeze. So I was just I was like sweating for like 3 months, like, oh my god, did I just learn Chinese
For nothing. Yeah.
And then like the last month, I got picked. So that's how I joined the Foreign Service.
All right.
And my wife never thought ever is going to work out. Like, because she was like, oh no, we would have, you do that thing. I'll find a job. And then I got it. And she was really surprised that she was moving to China 2 months later.
Yeah.
So,
And now you're here in Curacao.
And now I'm here in Curacao.
All right. That sounds like a really interesting story.
Anto abo kung kita
Yeah,
mo background
it is.
kung ba land a job aqui também.
Bom, a mim um tiki menos interessante cozinha chinês, pero a mim tá eu de Curaçao, mas não sei que nada, mas vivo aqui nada, mas estudia comercial e economia na Holanda. Depois de eu vim no Curaçao, eu comecei a trabalhar aqui na consulado, me tinha 6 anos acaba. Eu comecei a promover departamento de visa, então agora aqui me oficial é Public Affairs Assistant. Pois
Ah, pensei botei aqui na aula, de podcast.
É fun? É challenging?
É trabalho.
Kiko turbo ta hasi.
É mais fun que é challenging. Naturalmente, se você enjoy o que você faz, é kita é challenge for. Pero sempre challenge está lo que tá drive. Me também para fazer, não? Então, aba pontra algo ali. Que vou pontra me sorry.
Di awore?
Sim, aba pontra me seta fun of challenging.
Kiko bota hasi precis.
Kiko me tá hasi precis. Okay. Opi me tá manejar Facebook, Instagram, nos website. Me tá sostener de organizamento de events não conosting. Me tá sostener diferentes projetos conosting tá hasi. Maneira Education USA, caminha nós tem center na Aruba, para os estudantes que estão interessados para estudar na América, então é difícil para saber como começar, como está seguir sua escola, como está seguir na scholarship. Esse center está existir para guiar estudantes aqui nesse. Então,
você está na Aruba só ou na Curaçao também?
Tem na Aruba só, nós temos esperança que nós podemos lograr abrir center na Curaçao pronto.
Vamos esperar.
Sim. Que mais me está sostener projeto na maneira YLI, que está para Young Leaders of the Americas Initiative, que está maneira exchange, programa, maneira fellowship, tem essa categoria de pagamento similar na Corestage. Também nós está busca jovem empresário, está entre a idade de 25 para 35 anos, para não por bem merca, então seguir curso e para expandir no negócio. Pois isso aqui é algo que como empresário tem que aplicar para. Então nós sponsor tudo coisa. Pois vou viajar para a América, vou estadia aí nana, vou ter stipend chiquito para comida.
2 semanas?
Para 6 semanas.
6 semanas.
Para 6 semanas.
Wow.
Esse é programa bastante interessante. Caminha botar ser reconhecido com 250 outros jovens empresários da região. Então botar a chance de network, de sim, de não. Botar coach que americano, caminha botar vai vou bisa shadow of traha dentro su negócio. Então, bota mira com eta hasi DJ, então se também por sim afo, mas bota mira com eta su marketing, com eta lead su staff, com eta deal com su finanças, com eta deal para chegar nas sponsors, dus letterlijk tur aspecto de negócio, bota loop me, bota sim afo. Então, na final e último semana, tur 250 pessoas na ita volve topa junto, então bota me a chance de ser reconhecido com pessoas na alto do governo americano na Washington DC.
Alright.
Yes.
Alright. Kiko te requisito ng padrenta del grupo pasó. Tiene un caballero, me conoce personalmente, opi close nami. Ela aplicando ya jammer genoeg nos no
Okay. Well, é nota one time apply anto bo oportunidade a perder.
Agora que bati 25 teco
35 dus.
Bati 10 anos Boris.
Mientras tanto que bota fer den age gap, po conseguir aplicar tour anya de novo, te hora que bolora. Tem gente que aplicar 2-3 viaja pro me com nanga queda nombrar como ganador para participar.
Então como você selectar quem está ganhando?
Sim, esse processo está basta competitivo. Nós está selectar 4 pessoas para ano. Nós está 2 empresário de Curaçao, de Aruba, de São Martin. Então, primeiro tenho que ir numa aplicação, que está bastante intensiva, está ponto hobby, mas está perguntando não passar quem botar hasi, que está boa intenção. Acaba
Ela tomava 2 horas e pico
para boiena, não?
2 horas?
Sim.
Mais largo.
Eta donavo pergunta na para pensar.
Sala de 2 dias.
Sim, tinha na bisa não, me tenho echt buyback, me também sinta na alamang para me sinta yene, passo eu tenho brainstorm um tique, eta pone bu pensar.
Você também uma maneira para você me acertar, mas quem tá vale a pena.
Quanto interesse de verdade botin?
Sim. Os botin bem por mês basically.
Correto.
Aquele website.
Sim.
Ba bem por mês malo.
Não, dar no pare costa nem atiriva.
Sim. Depois que vai na formulário, eta vai den tombola, nós review tu resenang, nós score nang, então acaba também o processo de semi-finalist, caminha nós score e grupo de mais mio para interview. Mas eu passo dele interview e mesmo coisa nós volve score boa aplicação, então via de sei nós saca e ganador.
Alright. And Anthony, change the subject a bit. You said you were previously in China, then Germany, then here, right? Where was like the most active experience for you, work-wise?
Oh, work-wise? I mean, I'm not getting out of this but they're very different. It's I
Yeah.
mean, and somehow like your day always gets filled up, and I don't like when I got here I was like, oh my god, I'm on this tropical island. This is so great.
It's gonna be
I'm
chilling
paradise.
at the beach all day.
just 3 days. I'm gonna go to the beach all day, and then like somehow like my work just got filled up, and I don't know, what it is. But I'm the only consular person for all these 6 islands.
You are the only one.
The only consular person, the only
Wow.
full-time consular
Yeah.
person.
Mas
Ok.
é importante para nós visar no nosso consulado americano na Curacao, pero nós representa Aruba, Bonaire, Saba, Saint Martin e Saint Eustácias. Mas Anthony tem quase serviço de consular
Na tour.
na Tour 6.
Yeah.
I had a very important question for you guys, because I know that here in Curaçao we have a lot of people that request a visa document. What's the procedure that they have to follow in order to maybe get it? Because you don't know if you're gonna get it. You apply for it, but there are certain things that you have to meet, certain requirements that you have to meet in order to get it. So what's the procedure? How does it look like?
So, I mean, the first thing is to go to our website.
Okay.
The website is going to be changed in a little bit.
In July-ish.
In July-ish, it'll be more streamlined, but basically look for how to apply. And you kind of read the whole page and, select what fits for you. In terms of, like, what to do or how to get a visa, like, I can't... Okay, this is a weird...
Think about it.
This
Think
is a
about
weird
it.
story that I always think about, and
Okay.
maybe you're going to cut it. Feel free to cut it.
No,
but
we're not going to cut it.
I always think about this story. A long time ago, I was having dinner with these people that did, they were ad execs for BMW, right? And so they just thought of BMW motorcycles and cars all day. And then like at this, which was really, it was such a boring dinner. And then at some point, I heard this guy say like, wait, so you think that there are people that don't know the difference between the C-Class and the E-Class? And I remember thinking like, oh my God, you have been doing this way too long. Like that, I have no idea. I have no idea what the difference is.
It's not general knowledge.
Yeah, it's not general knowledge, but when you're doing a job all day long,
you,
it becomes like really general knowledge, and then you forget like people don't know what you're talking about. And I really try like daily, and I think about that story all the time because a lot of the times when I describe things about visa law, people don't know what I'm talking about. So I'm like, oh, you can't work. Like today I told a guy like, you can't work on this visa, and he's like, what are you
Work
talking
on the visa?
Yeah, what are you talking about? Of course I can. I got a visa. I can. It says it's good for 6
okay,
months.
okay.
Like I can.
I get
It
it.
says it's there for 10 years. I can be there for 10 years. I'm like, no, you can't. Like that's not what it's for. So I think that what I look for is ties to Curacao or ties to Bonaire or Aruba. That's really general, and people are like, yeah, of course I have ties. Like my family lives here, right? And so sometimes that's good, and sometimes there's no rule I can say when that makes sense. But like I can say after COVID, I think due to COVID, there's been a big spike of people who have been taking, using their visas and then staying in the U.S. And I don't, I'm not.
You're
God
not
didn't
against
put
that?
me on this world to be upset at that.
Yeah.
Right? Like I'm not, but it makes me change how I look at my job and who I think is qualified for a visa. And if I see like a bunch of people who like, oh yeah, they had, kids, but then, they came and then never came back, and then the kids came to Florida too. It changes how I look at it. So, I would say in the past year, I think mostly due to COVID, and, it might be a little bit tougher to get a visa. And also I look, if someone has traveled a lot, and if they want to be a tourist, I think, okay, that makes sense. But if someone has never been to a country aside from the country that they've lived in, part of me thinks, well, maybe you're not a tourist, right? So there's this thing called 214B, and it's like the C-Class, E-Class, the BMW.
Can you explain the difference between that, the C-Class and the
Oh,
A-Class?
I have no idea. This
You
is
don't have.
BMW.
Okay.
No,
I thought
that was
you
just
know.
BMW.
Okay,
but
okay.
like 214B is this thing that like I know everybody who's a consular officer knows, but I think people outside don't know. So the idea when you apply for a visa, you are always, it starts off that you are denied, right? That the officer is supposed to think, you want to live in the U.S., right? So you have to convince the officer, like, no, it would be impossible, right, for me to live in the U.S. So sometimes I will refuse people, and they're like very nice people, and they probably wanted to go to Disneyland or do something like that.
And come back.
They were, I mean, I know that a lot of the time they wanted to go to Disneyland, and, maybe 50% of the time. But they don't have anything to overcome. If I'm supposed to start the interview thinking, you want to overstay, and they're like, well, I've been...
That's the first question that you ask during the interview?
No, I never asked that question.
Okay.
But in
That's the mindset, right?
the mindset by law is I'm supposed to think that they want to overstay. So usually the first question I ask is, why do you want to go to the U.S.?
The interview is in English, right?
No, I'll do it in Spanish, but I will not speak Spanish and
just
have it recorded.
2
No
sentences.
way.
2 sentences.
You can say hola.
Hola. Hablo español, pero no quiero hablar español ahora.
Okay, that's enough.
That's enough.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
And in my opinion, I always have had mixed feelings about this whole thing, because I do get why the procedure is like that, but I've always been against the obsolete system of denying someone from traveling to one country to another one. From a more logic perspective, I'm just a citizen of the world.
They're gonna take your visa, man.
No,
don't say that.
No,
Don't say that.
no.
Don't say that.
I still have like 6 years. You can
Don't
take
say
that.
that.
He's
Already
allowed
signed.
to- he's allowed
But
to
no,
ask
this
that.
is the thing. Like, I've been doing this for 7 or 8 years, right? I think that all the time. And my wife has this thing. It's like, your job is deciding where on earth people can be. But, like, when I do think, I have known some people who are like, I'm just going to issue to everybody. It doesn't matter. And it just doesn't work. Like, I agree that there's problems in the system we have, but I'm not smart enough to fix it.
Yeah,
And-
that's what I was trying to ask you. Like, how does the future of these kind of procedures look like?
I don't know I think that
I do get it's supposed to be regulated, but still, I'm a citizen of the world. I feel like I'm not supposed to be limited to where I go, and most of the times the feeling is, okay, I'm gonna get the visa. I'm gonna do the visa procedure, but probably not gonna get it. Probably not gonna get it. And
So
you said before that.
So there's this perception that people think that when they apply for the visa, they pay for the visa and they deserve it. When you apply for a visa, you pay for the service and you should qualify for it. And it's not just U.S. visa, right?
Yeah.
It's every kind of visa. Every visa has their process. Every country has their process and their requirements for you to be able to enter in their country, So that's just the basis. And like Anthony said, when you go and apply, it's up to you to convince him that you're coming back, that you're
And-
not traveling to stay there. So
And the visa process, it's also, I work for the U.S. government, right? And I don't think it's an insane policy for the U.S. government to say, like, we don't want everybody who wants to come here to work. Like, if we said, okay, the whole world, you're all citizens in the world, come over, I think that would be very difficult, for everybody involved. It's something that needs to be done somehow. I am always really honestly trying to do better.
Yeah.
And, approach my job, in a more just way. I don't like, refusing people at all. It's a real bummer when I do it. But I don't work for, I work for the U.S. government, and I'm trying to do the best job I can on behalf of the U.S. government. And
I have a really important question related to that. How do you get evaluated by the government? Do they get mad when they know that a lot of people requesting visa and get the visa from Curaçao or all over the 5 islands, right?
yeah.
all six.
Get the visa, 6 islands, get the visa and go to the USA and stay there.
I mean,
How do you get evaluated
there's no
about that?
quota. Well, there's no quota system or anything like that. And so there's never like, oh man, I have to deny this person in order to hit this quota.
No.
It
That's
doesn't
not what
work like
that's
that.
not what
yeah,
I mean.
so
I
like,
mean,
but let's say like I was issuing 100% of every.
It's crazy, yeah.
Every and then and people realized it, and then everyone was flying from all over the world to come interview with me because probably someone would talk to me.
yeah, exactly.
I don't know exactly how it'd get evaluated, but
Okay.
like I don't, you know.
Do you get blamed by the
No, I mean
government
everybody's
if anything
kind of,
happens?
Everybody's kind of professional and
Okay.
you know sort of knows like. But if there is something that was like clearly obvious that I'm, you know, there is one like if like let's say someone was like living in the U.S. for like 15 years and they came back to Curacao to go to their grandma's birthday and then they want to come back and they're like, oh, can I have this visa? I was living in the U.S. for 15 years. I'm not supposed to give them a visa. So if it's something like that's really clear, or if they like killed someone in the U.S. and then which hasn't happened, but but if they killed someone in the U.S. and it was clear that I was supposed to see it, then that's a violation.
Yeah.
And there's like an evaluation process. But in terms of like people coming back or not, you know, I think everybody knows like that's difficult to figure out.
You know what I heard after all, in general, that a lot of people, especially people from Latin America, go to those countries in order to request a visa instead of doing it here. Why does it happen?
I don't know. I mean, I know, so...
Is it faster or...
Previously, we had a rule in Curacao that you had to be a resident for 10 years.
That's quite
before,
a time.
Yeah, but that's no longer the rule.
Okay.
We were very limited too in, you know, staff and location.
Yeah.
So we had that rule set up because we couldn't handle everybody. We couldn't handle accepting applications from everybody because we would, you know, besides visa, Anthony's does U.S. citizen services too. So to give out, you know, American passports. If a baby is born here and deserves U.S. citizenship, they can apply for that with us. So there's more, you know, things that we do. There's more services that we
visa,
provide.
yeah.
So if we open up for everybody to apply for visa, we wouldn't have the capacity to hold that. So we had that rule set up. But now it's getting better. Now we're opening more. And hopefully with a new building over in a bit, we can open
How are
up
we
even
on
more.
the business segment of it? Like, I imagine nowadays we live in a technology, in digital era. It's supposed to be easier, right? Everything's supposed to go smoother. Yet it's still a whole process if I want to do business in the United States or with the United States. What's like the best angle I could think of to start doing business with the United States? Because this is a small island, and our biggest problem is we import more than we export.
Yeah.
So the best solution for that is just offering services abroad. But some kind of businesses you'll be needed to be present there in the particular city to do business.
So the B1, B2 is a business visa, but this was the thing. You can't. You can do meetings, you can go to conferences, you can give like presentations and things as long as you're not getting paid. You know, but my kind of rule of thumb is like the second you start typing on a computer in like some office that someone gives you, you're working.
Okay.
Right? There are, in the summer, we're planning tentatively, probably, to do work visas, the H&L visas, but those would be for if you already had a company that was if you're a part of a fairly large company,
Like a local one or
usually a pretty large company, because it's a whole process. It's a whole process to petition for those, and then those are the biggest work visas, the H's and L's. So, but for instance, like maybe if you worked in Deloitte, like that would be Deloitte would be a company that did that. Or if you had a company that was an import-export company, and you're like, I really need to set up, a branch in Miami, and I need someone to start, then you would do an L visa, right? So if you're an intercompany transfer and you're like, I want to set up this branch, and then it already kind of exists, but then I need to send somebody over, that's an L visa. But that is basically you would need a lawyer.
A lawyer.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. Like it's better to get like an immigration lawyer because then they petition and then go through DHS. It's not something
increase your
that.
chances?
What?
Would that increase your chances?
No, I mean, but it's kind of geared for bigger companies, right? So it's like the paperwork involved can get.
That's
kind
the
of
thing.
big.
We were talking about the success rate that people have in requesting a visa, and you said 80%.
No,
Right
no,
now,
no.
or
So
less?
I'd say. Oh no, I was saying 80%, 85% of the people are third country nationals, so they're not. They're not Dutch.
Exactly, yeah. So what's the success
last I
rate?
checked, the success rate for visas was around 40%. Oh, sorry. The refusal rate was 40%. The success rate was 60%.
60. Okay. Is that good or
It
It
depends.
can be better.
It
Is it
depends
good?
on. It depends. I mean, it's
For
higher.
Curacao.
The success rate is higher than in most.
What's the average?
in the world? I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know that offhand.
in China?
In China, when I was in China, I remembered it was around 15%.
15?
The refusal rate. Sorry.
Oh,
The
okay.
refusal
We look
rate.
at refusal
The
rate
refusal
and not
rate.
success rate.
Sorry. I don't.
So here is at 80% refusal?
No, here. Okay,
No,
let's start all
refusal
over
is at
again because
40.
here right now, very lately in the past couple of months, the refusal rate has been 40%. Because we did two things. I looked at we opened up for people who are here for less time, because we decided we don't want to turn away people just because they've been here for 5 years. So we're going to let them interview, which we didn't do before. And so then a lot of people who have been here for 3 years are interviewing. And so then it's just more difficult
Yeah.
to show, like, I have strong ties to Curacao. I've been here for, 3 years. So then that's made the refusal rate go up. And then also because of COVID, I think it kind of has strained everything in the world,
Yeah.
right? So like the sense of, sometimes when people would say, like, in the middle of this pandemic, I want to go on vacation, having never gone on a vacation before in my life, like that changes how you see.
Do you think that it's difficult to perform or do your job on a daily basis? Because it's really, I don't know, it's really subjective.
I really do try and make it not subjective, and I really annoy my staff
Yeah.
a lot, like so much. They
In
really
which
don't
sense?
like.
In which sense?
Because like afterwards I'll be like, was that right? Was I?
Oh, yeah.
But
yeah.
why did I say yes to this person and say no to that
Yeah.
person? And I swear I really think about it
Yeah,
way
I
too
can
much.
imagine.
I've worked with people in Anthony's position. They switch every 3 years. So in Curaçao, a consular officer arrives and he worked for 3 years, and then they move and somebody else come. So
Okay.
I've seen officers who had to step away from that interview window and like cry because it's so touching
Yeah.
because you see it's clearly that they don't qualify. They had to deny the person a visa, but you can see that it's a struggling family. So it is.
Yeah.
It is sometimes hard. But Anthony doesn't get on our nerves
you cry,
only
Anthony?
because of... No, I don't think so.
No,
But
I don't.
I think Anthony, the way that he does his visa is so fun. Like when he started, everybody was like, is he calling someone like that? You should like...
How do
yeah.
you call him?
No, like give me a name. Give me like.
Yeah,
a-
like when they come up to the window and it's your turn to
Suarez.
come over to the window.
Suarez.
Suarez. Like,
Suarez.
put a
Spell
name in
Suarez
front
for
of
me.
Suarez.
the whole name, Suarez.
Eh,
I'll say my name.
Jose Sebastián Suarez.
Jose Sebastian Suarez.
That's how you do it?
Yeah, that's how I
That's
do it.
exactly how he does it.
Because at the very least, like, it's like, they hear their name. Because I hate it when I'm like, Jose Sebastian Suarez.
Yeah.
Jose Sebastian Suarez. And then they
'Cause
don't hear
everybody
it.
comes when they apply for a visa, they're nervous, right? 'Cause they
Yeah.
don't know what's gonna
It's
happen.
it's
and
an
then-
office. It's a government office, right? You're in a government office, and usually there's a baby crying or something like that. It's just like there's fluorescent lights.
Yeah.
People have their paperwork, and so just to like do this one like tiny little thing, that's like
Makes a difference.
Does
That's
it ever
like
get
different.
boring? I mean,
Yes.
it's a diplomatic,
Oh,
bureaucratic
yes.
job.
Yeah,
And
if there's no
that's a
interesting
big challenge
story.
for you guys, right? That, I mean, at a certain point, it has to get boring.
So-
How do you overcome that?
So my job doesn't get boring because I get to do the fun stuff like social
Like sitting in
media
a
and
podcast.
organizing events, sitting in podcasts. Those are fun stuff. So my job doesn't get boring. But I don't know about Anthony if you have to sit behind a window.
It's a mental
approving or
challenge, right?
disapproving. That
The
can
thing
be-
is, like, I do, I like talking to people, right? And I'd say every day there's one person. Like, I met, like, I think all of the Major League Baseball players in Curacao, and they've all told me I couldn't be a baseball player, no matter.
They couldn't?
No, that I couldn't. All of
that
them.
he cannot.
okay.
Because like I would,
Yeah.
because that's, of course, I'm gonna give them the visa. Like,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
not
yeah,
a choice.
yeah.
Like, they're gonna. So I'll, as I'm typing and doing the notes, I'd say, like, I'm 43. Do you think I could be a Major League Baseball player? And I thought one of them was gonna be like, well, if you really worked hard, maybe. But they were all like, no, no, you're too old.
Yeah.
But you meet interesting people. Like, it's fun to have a job where you, like, are definitely going to meet everybody that has to go to the US at some point. Right?
How do you overcome the challenges that you see every time that you move to another country? Especially the salary, the culture,
The weather.
and the weather. That's really, really important.
I mean, but I feel like I get after.
Do you guys have a good salary here?
Yeah, I think it's good.
Yeah?
I'm not gonna
No,
tell.
no,
That's
no,
gauche.
I
I'm not
mean-
gonna. But yeah, no. I think it's. I think
Behind
it's
the
good.
cameras, you will tell me, right?
No. But I don't. But I will say. So when I was in China, and I met this guy, I was like, you get a house. Like, his kids went to school.
You got incentives.
Yeah,
as well.
yeah.
Okay.
So it's nice, and they move you around. So those aspects of the job are really nice. And and like my second week here, I told my staff, like, I'm going to complain at some point about something stupid, and you have to hit me and be like,
No.
you
Yeah.
are on a Caribbean island. Like, you have a nice house. Like, you have a nice job. Like, you have no right to complain about anything. And that's really true. So, like, it gets, like, sometimes it gets boring. I don't like if there are days where I refuse a lot of people.
How many requests do you get a day? Is it a day thing or is it per month?
So usually we'll do like 60 visas.
Interviews?
Yeah, interviews.
60?
Yeah.
Wow, that's quite
And
a lot.
that's few compared to bigger
That's
embassies.
huge.
or
That's quite a
consulates.
lot.
So, like, in China, when I worked there, it was like, you got 2 seconds. But, like, I think it's a little bit harder here because you have more nationality. Like, in China, there was no everybody was
Yeah.
Chinese.
Yeah.
And, like, you could, here, like, there's way more nationalities that I deal with. There's, like, language barriers, and also we're such a small post that we have to do everything ourselves. Where in China, it was like a machine, factory that would be really, everything was streamlined. So getting 360 is a lot.
Yeah.
I was asking you guys before about the work visas because the United States is obviously one of the biggest endorsers of globalization, right?
Yeah.
But still, how do you keep that in balance? I mean, ethic-wise and business-wise about. Let me put it in a clear sentence. Because it's still difficult, or it seems difficult for any entrepreneur to start doing business in the US or open the market there. But yet, the United States is a big pusher of the globalization. So
Well, I think also the U.S. doesn't. I mean, the U.S. would want also to promote entrepreneurship in Curacao, right? And so,
That's why we have programs like Wildlife.
yeah,
We host networking events, and I believe if you want to meet our boss in a bit, which is our Consul
do it,
General
for
Margy
sure.
Bond, I think this is a question that it's better addressed to her, and she can elaborate more on that.
All right. And how about the U.S. citizens? Are they interested in doing business here, or how does it seems like for you guys?
One of the jobs that one of my close colleague does is making sure of that. So if there's U.S. businesses that are interested in doing business with the Caribbean, they have to go through this process of applying for our advocacy. And we make sure that, they're stable jobs, they pay their taxes, they're serious about who they are and what they can offer. And then we will help them here in Curacao or Aruba or wherever in the region and make sure that they get their way and know how to exchange and open up the business if they desire to.
What kind of industries are more interested in doing business here
I don't know.
that you could have noticed?
To be honest, if I had the question, I would not answer you. Like, that is something that we want to be open about, but I would not know the answer.
All right.
I can get you later.
Okay.
Are there a lot of people from USA here in Curacao? Or in the 5-6 islands?
Yes.
I think
can
all
can I have
told,
the
I just
canoe?
had to do this.
Living like residents.
Yeah, residents.
No, I'm not included. So all told, at any given moment, there's something like 25,000. Just on,
Yeah, it's
at
a lot.
some
In the
random,
6 islands.
Yeah.
if you include tourists. But if you
No,
take
yeah.
away the
Yeah,
tourists,
no,
it's
yeah.
like
But tourists, so U.S. tourists, I think there's about 3 million U.S. tourists a
Yeah.
year that come to the Dutch Caribbean. I mean, Aruba,
Yeah.
the market for U.S. citizens is a lot. Curacao, I believe, is a bit less. We have more Dutch
Yeah.
tourists here, but an
Yeah, I think
average
But
is 2 million.
residents?
no, less than it was like 800.
It
Because
is-
there's a lot of
Yeah.
U.S. citizens
Yeah.
in St. Martin and
Yeah.
Aruba as well.
Yeah, a lot in St. Martin.
Yeah.
Is it increasing or do you see it
No, I don't see
decreasing? I don't know. You have 3 years here already? 2 years?
Yeah, I mean, since I've been here, I haven't seen. I mean, I'm actually.
COVID makes it hard too.
Well, I know 2 people that moved here, just
Recently?
friends socially that moved here because of COVID. Because they were saying, like, I just wanted a place to go to where I could go to the beach every day
Yeah.
and do my work. And so,
What are other advantages for you working here at the embassy?
Eating the local
Not
food.
not
oh yeah,
not
eating the local food.
the local food, but in
No.
the sense of not getting the incentive that you just mentioned, house, your kids going to college or school, but other advantages that you see. Okay, yeah, I will take the job.
I think it's cool. I mean, again, it gets boring, but I think it's really cool to talk to a lot of people randomly every day. Like
And you know a lot of people, right?
I mean, yeah. I mean,
Especially U.S. residents here.
yeah. So like, everybody sort of goes through my window eventually, and that's kind of cool because a lot of the times when you're, in another country, especially if you're American, you'll have your American friends and your American little bubble, and then you won't see anybody. But like in every country I've lived in, I've seen gangsters.
Gangsters?
Yeah, I've talked to people who are gangster in every country, and in probably every country where people that were heads of state and people who were just farmers and stuff like every walk of life, everybody. And I think that is interesting because it kind of keeps you. It helps you like kind of understand who you are in society and like what society is and like how everybody works together. And I don't think a lot of people get that viewpoint when it's just anyone can come up to me, right? Anyone can do a visa appointment and then I'll learn 3 minutes about their life real quick. But after a while,
you should write a book, man. I think you have a lot of stories in your mind.
no.
What's like the best advice you could give to stay motivated at your work?
Stay motivated in my work.
I mean, I
I
guess
don't actually. So I a long time ago I worked at a hedge fund, right? And the motivation when you work in finance is easy because it's just like guys make everybody make money. Working in the government is really different, and because it's not like there's no money to be made. Like I made my salary. I'm not going to get a huge bonus or. And so I think to stay motivated, it's you need to find the thing that you enjoy, right, in it. So like you got to learn to enjoy, talking to 50 people a day and getting something out of that. You got to enjoy helping people out. And so I'm always looking, for that kind of depth, and like to talk to more people keeps me motivated and want to, do a good job. Because once you know everybody, it's embarrassing when you do a bad job. Right? Especially here. Because like people will write me and I know them and like I have to like perform. And
All right.
okay.
Do you have any other questions,
No,
Boris?
fine.
No?
No.
Okay, then I think we will switch right now.
Okay.
And because I heard today that we are going to play dominoes with the consul.
Let's
Is that
go.
true? Yeah, let's go. All right, nós stay back aqui na Trobe. Não avisa bosang.
So schrijf een tiki.
Se escreve tiki, põe na mesa.
Nós vamos dominar um giz.
Nós vamos dominar com o consul. Mas durante a bisa ko a Trobe.
Can we cheers, please?
Yes, let's cheers.
It's an honor
Cheers.
for us.
Thank you so much for being here.
Salud. Thank you for coming. Happy to have you.
You have to,
Yeah, you have to.
drink a little bit. Okay, let's do this first because of the audio. Just a little bit. Right. So, like I mentioned before, thank you so much for being here. We are very pleased to be here and to know you. So first of all, very important question just to have a context on what do you do on a daily basis. So what do you do on a daily basis?
So my job here in Curacao is to be the leader of the U.S. consulate, and I'm the representative of the President of the United States and of the State Department in our relationship with the entire Dutch Caribbean. So I'm the boss.
You are the boss. Okay, let's start. First of all,
Okay.
who starts?
Whoever has the double six.
Exactly. She
Yeah.
knows. She knows. She has
I've been
experience already.
practicing.
Okay. So how do you get to the job? How do you get to the position?
I've been in the Foreign Service in the State Department, which is like your Ministry of Foreign Affairs, for 27 years. And, over the course of my career, I've had a lot of different jobs. And this was my first choice for this assignment. I'm thrilled to be here.
This is your first time?
This is my first choice to come to Curacao.
Okay.
What are the options?
Well, I'm not going to go into the options because, that's...
Secret.
It's sort of, yeah.
Keep it nice between the
Well,
countries.
there were, I'm a Latin American expert. That's been my area of focus, but I was the Deputy Director of Caribbean Affairs in the department
What did you
previously.
study?
In college, I was actually an English and American literature major, but then I went to graduate school where I was a major in international relations and international studies. So,
Right. So we heard as well that you speak a little bit of Spanish, or you speak a lot of Spanish.
Pues hablo bastante bien español, creo.
Okay.
Yo viví en México por 6 años y también viví en España 4 años.
Nice.
Is it better here compared to the other countries, or do you think okay?
Pues no
it's
puedo
different.
hacer una
She can't
comparación.
compare
A mí me gusta todos los países, and I love everywhere I've served. And I'm really, really happy here. I've only been here about 6 weeks, and it's already been a fantastic experience. The island is so beautiful. The people are so welcoming, and I'm
They are.
excited to be here. I'll be here for
They
3
are.
years.
We asked your colleagues before, how do you end up in this kind of line of work?
Sure. Well, actually, my father was a diplomat, and my grandfather was also a diplomat. So I grew up living overseas and in that kind of a life of working with other countries and interested in those issues. And so that was always something in the back of my mind. But I thought I was going to more, I thought I'd go down the path of working in international relief and development. But I did that for a few years, and then I took the Foreign Service exam, and I passed the exam, and I said, well, let me try this for a while, and I did, and here I am. I stayed for 27 years, and it's been a fantastic career, getting to see the world and work with people.
And getting paid for it.
And getting paid.
Yeah.
Very
That's not
important.
so bad.
But
Very
I
important.
I pass.
Oh, yeah,
You
he
don't
passed.
have
passing.
okay.
No
Okay.
sixes over there. Okay.
Here you go.
Note to self.
So, very important question as well. So you have 6 weeks here already. How's your papamiento going? Is it getting better? What?
Mitad enseñando papiamiento.
Okay.
but I don't speak it so well yet.
Okay.
You have a
Do you think it's-
background in Spanish, so it's
Yeah,
supposed
I
to
think it will be easier for you to.
You know,
to learn.
what I've noticed is that I can read pretty well in Papiamentu, and I can understand when people speak to me in Papiamentu, and people understand me when I speak in Spanish. But to get the words out in Papiamentu correctly is going to take me a little time. But I am taking lessons. I'm taking
Nice.
2 lessons a week to try to get up to speed so that I can enjoy communicating with everybody and not wait till the end of my assignment here. I want to start right from the start.
Who's your teacher, Sadeli?
Well, we
She
help.
is.
Yeah.
We help in the office.
They help. I ask them in the
But
morning, please don't speak to me in English or Dutch in the morning. Just come into me and say something in Papiamentu. So we at least try the morning exchanges in Papiamentu now.
So,
And,
bon dia, it's like,
yeah.
bon dia, Margy.
Bon dia.
Ano tayo eh?
Anta bye.
Hey, so
Mita Bon.
we had a specific topic that we wanted to cover with you a few minutes ago. Do you guys remember what it was?
The part of. No, I don't remember
Do
anymore.
you recall what it was?
I think the question that you asked me that I said I'll get back to you. You asked me what are the industries, like business industries, that have shown interest in doing business in Curacao.
Yeah, and
That was the
Do
question.
you have an idea on that? Do you have?
Sure. You know, that is one of the main things that we want to work on here. While, you know, that one of the roles of the consulate is to promote U.S. investment and to work with our partners here in the government of Curaçao and private sector on economic development and growth. And a couple of the sectors that I've been hearing a lot about them. I've spoken to the Curaçao Tourism Board. I've spoken to the people at the Ministry of Economic Development and Chamber of Commerce. And they're really interested in, they're excited about the fact that Sandals is opening. They mentioned that
Yeah.
this is could be a potential draw for U.S. tourists, and that Residence Marriott, the Residence Inn by Marriott is also opening. And, you know, that's one of the things I want to work on is how do we get more Americans to come visit Curaçao? Because Curaçao is incredible. And so far, it's not a huge percentage of the visitors to Curaçao.
Yeah, most people don't have
Is
any
that-
idea where it's located.
Is that your first mission as a consular?
That's one of my missions.
Okay.
We have a diverse range of priorities. We are one of our main focuses on law enforcement cooperation and countering transnational criminal networks. Another area that we're working on is, of course, promoting business and investment. We also care a lot about people-to-people ties, and that's one of the things I
Okay.
really like to talk about. But just quickly on the investment side, tourism is one important sector, but there are other important sectors related to energy. We want to bring in U.S. industry that can provide solutions in the areas of clean energy and sustainable solutions to the issues of the high cost of energy here.
Yeah.
So that's an area that we also are really excited to work on.
Do you think it's doable to bring
Absolutely.
bring solutions to Curaçao and that
Absolutely.
kind of sense?
Absolutely. And I think the government is already looking at those solutions. They're already looking at solar farms. They already have a huge wind farm that you see as soon as you arrive.
Yeah.
And I know they're looking into diversifying into liquid natural gas and to other transition forms of energy, but also into green energy solutions as well.
If it were up to you guys, because I think we
It's
also
mine,
agree
right?
that,
It's my turn.
Curaçao is a mine gold. It's a gold of mine.
Gold mine.
It's a gold mine, right? And most of the people that are the first to notice that are people that come from abroad. So what's the first thing that caught your attention aside from tourism, of course? Like where would you put your money if it were up to you?
Good question. Well, definitely that is the first thing that caught my eye when I got here was just how beautiful the island is. And I'm a scuba diver, so I immediately got here and went snorkeling and diving and just was blown away how beautiful it is here and the great facilities you have for that. But I'd say that one of the areas that is really interesting is the technology, the tech area. And I know that the Curaçao has a data center, a really important data center, and that Google, Facebook, some of the major U.S. companies are already using that data center. So I think I don't think we have to just look at tourism as a way of the future. I think that's going to be one pillar of your economy. And again, I'm still just learning and hearing people, but I think there are a lot of exciting opportunities in the tech sector, which would provide high-paying jobs and, really important jobs and be a hub for Latin America and the Caribbean. And there are other areas as well in terms of the harbor. You've got Bullen Bay and you've got the harbor. How can those be repurposed for other activities? So I think there's a lot of opportunity here.
It's nice to hear that. It's nice to hear that
Let's,
because
let's work for that. Let's work for that.
Is it my turn?
Especially, yeah, it's your turn. So I wanted to talk a little bit about certain topics that are not, that people know about, but not really, in the sense of let's use the word myth. So I talked with Adeli the last time about them, and what I heard and see in a lot of movies is
I
that.
can't wait to hear this question.
What do you think I'm gonna ask?
nervous. What is he gonna ask?
So one of the things I see in the movies and hear a lot in society is that if you have a baby that was born in this area where we at right now, in the building area, she or he gets the nationality of the USA. Is that true?
like is it considered American ground? The embassies?
I think if I need to get back to you on that specifics because I was born overseas. I was born in Libya, and my passport says Libya, but I was born on a U.S. Air Force base, Wheeler Air Force Base, which doesn't exist. And so in that situation, that is absolutely what's considered U.S. That you were being born overseas in a U.S. area.
But your parents.
We're both American diplomats.
Exactly. Okay.
So I was born overseas. I do have a consular report of birth abroad, which is a document you get if you're born overseas. But I'd have to find out. I don't think you'd automatically get conferred citizenship for being. Do you have plans that I should know about?
I don't know. Maybe if you ask me, and let's bring my
Having a
girlfriend over
baby.
here.
Bring her over.
But okay, that's one of the myths. I think you have one as well.
That's an
do you
interesting
do you have
question.
another one? No. Okay.
You were mentioning the main goals of the American embassy. What was the last one you were mentioning? You wanted to talk about
People-to-people ties.
people-to-people ties.
Yes.
What does that entail?
Well, people-to-people it can mean a lot of things. It is fundamentally is having close relations and building those close relations between our countries, between the Dutch Caribbean, between Curacao and the United States. We do that in a lot of different ways. And one of the biggest, most successful programs we have in the whole Americas and in Canada is the Young Leaders of the Americas Initiative, the YLI program. And we've been doing that here since 2016. And every year we send 4 young people from the Dutch Caribbean to the United States to be partnered with a U.S. company, U.S. business, or a private sector or a public or NGO. And they work there and they get to learn about that. What is it like to work in the United States? They get new experience, sort of like an internship. And then they become part of our big Y-Line network. And so that's one of the examples that I'm really excited to promote. And we actually have 4 people from the Dutch Caribbean heading to the United States to do these to be these placements that you're. Sorry,
Yeah, she's an expert. Yeah.
All right, so you already know.
About it.
So that's one of the things that we're really excited about, and I want to see that continue and build those networks. When these people come back, let's build those connections and build those networks. So that's a really important area.
What's it like the most successful one that has happened in this project?
There's a lot of successful people that participated. You guys interviewed Flavina on your show. So Flavina was a YLI participant. We call her an alum. Sorry.
Yeah.
But I think it's a good chance for us to maybe take this opportunity and announce the 2 winners of this year who will be participating.
Drum rolls.
So we have Charlie Sun Janssen from Frisco Studios. Everybody knows Frisco Studios. And we have Shunaiska Havertz from Bold Fashion. So those are 2 Curaçaoans winners that will be participating in YLI. And you guys have the exclusivity of knowing that.
Yes. Congrats, guys.
Congrats. I'm low-key hating though because I applied as well and didn't win.
Next year.
You can still apply.
We do it every year.
Yeah.
Of course.
Please apply again.
Yeah, I will keep applying till I win. I still have what? 9 years? 5? Yeah, 9 years.
9 years, yeah.
Yeah.
Still have 9 years to apply.
To still apply.
So you, 35? So that means you're
Still,
I'm
yeah.
26.
26. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll keep trying.
So I heard from Sadeli last time that you guys have 3 departments, right? Three separate buildings, I think. I don't know how do you call them.
Well, our mission in Curacao consists of, the consulate, the fall, and the DEA. So that's our
What's the
presence
difference
in the Dutch Caribbean.
in the three of them?
The difference, I think.
Well, Well, sure. The Drug Enforcement Administration, DEA, you all know them. They work hand in hand with the authorities here in Curacao and in the Caribbean to counter narcotics trafficking, which is a huge problem in the United States and in the Caribbean. So that's their mission. But they do it collaboratively, not just with the island governments and the island law enforcement, but also with the Dutch and also with our U.S. Military. And that's the forward operating location is where we have a U.S. military location.
So what's the difference between FAL and DEA area?
FAL comes out of U.S. Southcom. It's the U.S. Department of Defense, and DEA is from the Drug Enforcement Administration. So it's a U.S. domestic law enforcement agency, and then the FAL is U.S. Department of Defense.
Maybe next time we can do an interview over there.
Yeah,
at the
You
FAL
can do an interview at
department.
the fall. That would be nice.
That would be great.
I'll change the subject a bit. I would like to know your take on the current situation in Ukraine, because, I mean, most of the information that we get on this side of the world comes from this side of the world, right? So I imagine you guys will be a little bit more informed about the current situation. And I was reading a bit about Russia's perspective, and from my understanding, their point of view is there's an issue with the NATO, and it's more like they feel that NATO
A threat.
yeah, they feel like it's a threat for them, and I totally get that. But of course, it's
not the best solution.
it's not the best solution what they're doing right now. So what's really happening there?
Yeah, well, Russia has basically abrogated all previous international agreements, and Ukraine posed no threat to Russia, nor did NATO. They've abrogated the Minsk agreement and other agreements. Ukraine had given up nuclear weapons. They had agreed to remain a buffer state. They had not acceded to NATO. They're not even part of the EU. So the reasons that Putin has come up with are completely fabricated and complete misinformation.
There were no expansion of the NATO. And
Ukraine is not part of NATO. There has been over the last 40 years expansion of NATO, but there is no excuse for Putin to have invaded Ukraine. It was completely unjustified, unprovoked, and premeditated. And I think what you've seen, though, since that invasion, which also helps to clarify how irrational and unprovoked that assault on Ukraine has been, is that we have the allies and partners, not just of the European Union, not just of NATO, but around the world have condemned this. At the UN General Assembly, they had just the other day their first emergency General Assembly session in 40 years, and 141 states condemned Russia and demanded that they leave Ukraine. Only 5 voted in favor of Russia. So that just shows that internationally, it's clear that Russia is out of step with what the world wants, out of step with what democracies are demanding.
What's probably like the most feasible solution here, because we all can agree that war is just nonsense. Yeah. Will be just nonsense. Everybody would be end up in a bad situation, right? So what would be like the best
the best solution is that Russia withdraws. And we're doing everything we can to try to push that as diplomacy and a withdrawal of Russia, and that Ukraine can continue to stand up for itself. The Ukrainians are doing an incredible job. They have demonstrated just the sheer dedication and the guts and the will to fight for their democracy has been inspiring and incredible to see. And what we're doing is working with allies and partners around the world. There have been incredibly tough, unprecedented financial sanctions and export controls. 30 countries, which represent over half of the global economy, have implemented those financial sanctions on Russia. We've provided over $1 billion in security assistance to Ukraine, and we're right now providing a lot of humanitarian assistance as well. So, but the best solution is that Russia comes to the diplomatic negotiating table, and that they leave Ukraine. That is the solution, and that the world continues to remain united against them and isolate them.
Let's hope for the best, because last time, I think it's your turn, by the way. Because last time I was watching a video on YouTube. Oh yeah, Sadeli, yeah. Sorry, my bad.
Sure.
Oh, you put that one? Okay. So last time, what I did is I was just working and I was watching a YouTube video. Meanwhile, I was working about the war, and I heard that it can escalate so quickly. I hope it doesn't happen, but I heard that right now, China might get into a war as well with Taiwan. They want to do the same thing that Russia is doing with Ukraine, but with Taiwan. So I hope for the best. I hope it doesn't happen because it will be really bad for globally, the economy and etc. But I hope for the best because it might impact us, not directly, but indirectly. But at the end of the day, it will. So
It's impacting all of us.
Yeah.
Really, it is impacting all of us. So
But why is it never a possibility to do like a referendum or something like that when it comes to war? Because I think nobody wants war, right? And the most logic thing to do would be, okay, let the people vote. That's usually
but the people of Ukraine did vote. They voted for Zelensky. They have a president. They voted. Yeah. So who would vote?
I get that, but when it comes to the decision of going to war or not, in my opinion, it should be
Right.
a national decision as well.
I think Russia's an autocracy. They don't have nobody. I mean, if you watch the demonstrations, you can see that people aren't supportive of this war. The Russian people are being suppressed. They're protesting. They're being arrested. They're being detained. They're suffering. The intention of the sanctions is not to make the Russian people suffer, but certainly they're going to be feeling the pain and they're going to be making demands of their government. But Putin is very isolated within his own country as well, I think. So.
well, I think the cameras are running. Yeah, the battery is almost gone. So thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I hope to have another episode with you guys and talk a lot more about the services that you guys offer, first of all,
Yeah.
and maybe go to the full
Definitely.
building. I don't know how do you call it,
Yeah.
and have a podcast over there as well with the staff.
With the commander.
Exactly.
Yes, that would be great.
Yeah.
And before we go, I
Yeah.
did want to make sure that, the reason we're playing dominoes is because as I get to know the island and I get to know the rest of the Dutch Caribbean, I'm doing that also not just through meetings with different officials and, raising issues of mutual interest and concern, but also just through knowing the culture and getting to know the people. So Domino's, I know, is really dear to the people of Curacao.
Yeah.
So I'm now undertaking this year of our Domino's friendship, and we're calling it Domino's diplomacy. So as I meet people, we are, sharing games of Domino's. I'm inviting people to teach me, their tricks and their tips and tell me how they enjoy the game. And we're also giving our handmade in Curacao, hand painted here in Curacao, a set of dominoes to our contacts when we meet them.
All right. Thank you so much.
Here's our set of dominoes.
We will put it in our studio for sure.
Yeah.
We will have a new studio soon.
Okay.
Here you go, Boris.
Yeah.
And we will put it right in the background.
Great.
So thank you so much for being
you.
here, for the opportunity, and we hope that
We should
we
do
will
this
have
more often.
another opportunity as well to just talk a little bit more about other topics, business-wise and stuff.
Love that.
So thank you so much. Danke pate esimang aki. Prome
papasa.
kunos bay sa danke pate danke papasa prome kunos bay. Kora subscribe na man track sa abaw. Prime kono kora enan pabo subscribe din tayo família di Wapu podcast again.
Premier.
Prome kunos bay tambe kora follow, like riba Instagram, Facebook, ko YouTube.
Ando check nos nas plataformas
Exacto.
digital qual tá Go Loud com Play Go, não tá com data ou pode check qual podcast ou outra película não, ou tem que music. E não tá com data e all this.
Kora usa bo code
Ano,
di
no?
Manscaped tambe pa bo 20% de descuento. Pabo duna bo caballeiro um tiki love, um tiki liefde.
By the way, esse maki mapela na mustache se ka Wenson.
Kami tinho bay pela tambe. Wensa payback.
Okay.
Okay.
É o único barbeiro chinês que tinha na Curacao.
Mhm.
Aí ako nós papiando over diplomacy.
Mhm.
Check Wenson, no? Mas que Wenson no
Exacto.
rato.
Bom, danke pate an tomito abos ang outro simang. Kora bong, stay wapu.
Stay Wapu.
Hey.
Oh